got my good friend Soora back. Welcome back. And I got my other good friend. Oh, good. I don't know. He's like too pro now. So, um, the super senior, I guess, friend David Chung. Welcome,
Um,
David. Um, I met David. So quick little intro. I met David. What? Through church, right? And
yes.
then that's when he told me he went to UCI, but I never saw him because he was always doing music and basically on the other side of UCI. So I never got the chance to see him perform and all that good stuff. But he's here. He's like the success story. You know what I'm saying? Of like just helping someone code, and then all of a sudden he's like the one changing the world while I'm just sitting back and waiting for the breadcrumbs to fall off the big table. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So I know the people out there already met Soora. But if you guys want to intro yourselves real quick, that'd be great.
Mhm.
Oh shoot, am I recording by the way? Okay. That'd be awkward if I was.
Okay. I can introduce myself first. Hi, my name is Soora. I'm a software developer. It's been like 3 years now. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's me. Okay, David.
Hello, my name is David Chung. I am right now. My title is technical program manager. So that's just a fancy word for a software engineer who's basically providing solution and coding for a specific feature. You plan things out. You talk to the stakeholder and the CEO and the project management, as well as the developer team to plan out and execute certain features to be done. I've been a software developer for 3 to 4 years. For the first job, I moved to Virginia to pursue career growth, and then I switched now to a startup company. The first one was a big corp. And, I wanted to experience what it was like being in a startup company. So I moved to a smaller startup company, and now I'm moving back to California very soon. Yep, that's me.
Oh shoot, California, yo. Okay, so just real quick, the reason why I'm so surprised is I barely hear anything from David until like he's already here and going back to Virginia. So it's like, hey David, you want to meet? And he's like, oops. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, it's good to have you back, David. You're finally coming back to the land where people don't understand how masks work. They like have it in their hand. It's like if you just don't use it. But yeah, I mean we're going back. Wait, what? So where are you? Are you going coming back to LA?
No,
Oh, it's secretive.
no, it's not. I'm just not going back to LA.
Oh, so I guess like where ideally?
Well, so
I'm
that's a big question. It really depends
Ooh,
on when my application goes through.
okay.
Yeah, so we're trying to find a place. Me and my friends in California, we're trying to find a place, but it's really complicated for some reason for the application to go through. So
Gotcha.
once I finalize, then I can decide. I can tell you like which city I'm going to.
Okay. Well, if anything, if you guys are looking for cheap and decent housing, Temecula is a pretty good shot. I was there last year. I mean, we could talk about that stuff offline too. Um, but yeah, so getting into it, so I guess you kind of introduced you going to corporate side, but kind of going back even further. What made you get into coding?
So I got into coding. So you mentioned this little bit. I um, I was a music major. A previous conversation. I was a music major, and I was teaching and performing for a long time. But I realized that I wanted to take care of myself and my family in a
Hmm.
meaningful way. And for me to achieve that through the career trajectory that I was pursuing in music industry was gonna take a few years. So I wanted to expedite that process. So I started looking into different jobs. Honestly, like I didn't know about coding, uh, about about it that much, and I talked to you, Leonard, to see, like what you thought about your experience, and yeah, that's how I. That's kind of like the short version of why I decided to move. Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, a lot of people I would say kind of have plan Bs, especially when uh, kind of switching over.
Hmm.
Not only just switching over, but especially later on, in terms of age wise. So I guess for you then, did you have a plan B? I know Sir kind of talked about hers last time, David on, as
Uh,
well, and myself. But like, did you have? I mean, provided you already have a music background, but did you potentially have something else in the pipeline if this didn't work
so
out?
so coding was the plan B.
Oh.
Music was. I mean, I can always go teach and perform if I want to, because I was a music director of a music school at a private music school. The pay was okay. It was above average, I think, but the lifestyle wasn't what I was looking for. And at the time, yeah, my boss wasn't that great either. So I wasn't typically enjoying the environment that I was working in, and I didn't see a lot of career growth.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would say when I made the switch to programming, I just pursued it 100%. I get everything. I really studied hard. I was really focused. Hmm.
Gotcha. Well, on that note, just for people out there, David Chung is like the type of guy that he'll make senior software engineers look like a joke. Like no
I'm
cap.
sorry, what?
Like he's the type that's like, even if you're already a mathematician and he just gets into math, he's gonna make you look like a joke. No cap. So that's how determined he is. That's just a testament because I've seen it firsthand. He'll study, wake up at 8 a.m., study, go to sleep at 8 p.m., rinse, repeat. And it's like, hey David, you wanna hang out? No, I gotta study. Like he's that committed. So
No, not 8 to 8. That's impossible.
um but I'm being a little uh dramatic, but he David's like super committed, so any employer out there just, David's the type of guy. I mean, provided if I'm gonna apply with him, please take me because I'm sure David can start his own company and stuff. But I don't know, David. I like to joke around too. In the end, this is just a fun conversation between me and the guest and whoever else. So that being said, um, I guess what made you kind of go for out of state jobs? I know you're applying for, ones closer. I would say to home at the time being LA. Like you had some of the pipe works. I don't know if I can name some, but maybe you can. But like, what kind of made you ultimately go for like Capital One and especially just out of state?
So I got really lucky because um, you mentioned the company name Capital One. One of the team's manager reached out to me directly from LinkedIn, and I was really fortunate enough to have been reached out by her. We had a really good conversation, um, over chat or over the phone, and she seemed to really like me for some reason. Uh, and at the same time, I was being slowly being lined up with different interviews, and I was able to find the really low paying job. It wasn't even a tech company, and I was able to leverage that to get offers from other big companies, and then it just kept kind of spiraling. And I used what do you call this? I don't even know. Like, once you get an offer, you leverage it. Oh, leveraging offers to leverage more offers, and so that's how it happened. Well, Capital One's a little different. I actually went through the whole process, the interview process. I just got lucky. Um, yeah, I didn't really specifically look for. I didn't even know where Virginia was, where I moved.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even know how it looked like. I didn't hear anything about Virginia until I moved, and so I didn't specifically look for this job. The job found me in LinkedIn, and that's how I
Yeah.
got the job. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it, when people are like, "Hey, I'm not getting jobs because," and I see this a lot too, still on LinkedIn when it's like, "Oh, hey, I applied to 300 so jobs. In my case too, as you probably know. It's like I haven't landed anything. Well, half the time, like a lot of these success stories are, you got to know people, or you get lucky, or on the minority side is you actually get in on your own, right? I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of capable people who can get in on their own, but even then, once you're, you know, like network grows, then you start talking to people. Even when I got laid off, I just put a post, and I had 5 interviews from people I didn't even know. Reach out and be like, hey, like, we can interview you, and I got pretty far in those rounds before I had to turn it down for another offer. But yeah, I guess for you, Sura, too. I mean, it's publicly available on LinkedIn. Just FYI, people out there, that she also just started at Capital One. So I guess for you, what was it, about Capital One, or even out of state position as well, that kind of was like, hey, let's take it.
I think for me, it's not so much that like I was looking for out of state jobs, but it was more so with like the company. Yeah. So I took an offer for Capital One about like a month ago, and I started work, or maybe 2 months ago. Yeah, I started working like starting from like 3 weeks ago. So I'm still very new at the company. I was very hesitant to take this offer and sorry, I need to go back and clarify. It hasn't been 3 years since I started coding. It's been only like 2, actually.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah, but yeah, so I didn't really, I was contemplating a lot since I wanted like a chill job. But I knew that Capital One is not chill. I don't think. I feel like they do have pretty like aggressive deadlines, and like they're more structured. So I was contemplating a lot, but definitely it's something that I've been praying about. And like I know even through the interviews, like after like the final interview, like the very long one, like for the whole day, like I was like I prayed like after saying like, God, honestly, if I get through this interview, it's all you, and it's all like through your grace, and I know that like you're giving me this opportunity, and I actually got it. So yeah, so I think even though there was a lot of fear, I took the offer knowing that this is like an opportunity God gave me. And even though it might get tough, like He's going to be there to help me through and help me grow. So that's more of the reason why I took the offer, but not so like, oh, I want to move to Virginia. I'm not looking forward to moving there, to be honest. So yeah, that's just my experience with Capital One. Yeah.
Awesome. In terms of then, I had another thing. Oh yeah, so for you guys' jobs, I think Sarah reached out that, or mentioned that, you guys are doing Angular, right? And that's like it's definitely different from React. So in terms of that, like, uh, how, I guess even for David, I don't know if you guys started with you know React or Angular. In my case, I don't really like Angular, just because my initial experience with AngularJS. But then for you guys, like, how was it kind of getting on board with some new tech that was required for your role, right? Versus like having to learn something new within like the role itself. For both of you, by the way.
I could go first since Soora went last. So wait, can let me clarify your question. So what was it like learning new technology? Is it the question?
Yeah, so I guess learning new technology for the requirements for the role. So like, let's say for Capital One, I think Sarah mentioned that she's learning Angular. So then in terms, or relearning or what have you. So then in terms of the job requirements, right? It might say must know Angular 8 or whatever, right? And 2 years experience. But then say if you really don't have that experience, how do you kind of then bring yourself up to speed in such a way where you can meet certain deadlines, even if they're right out of the gate. And then also then within the role, like if they're like, hey, we're gonna learn I don't even know if this is possible, but like say Redux with Angular, but you have like, okay, I know Angular, but I don't know Redux, but this is say like within 6 months after starting, they
Right.
start introducing new stuff. Then
So
how do you kind of make that happen?
okay, I think I want to talk about some scenarios because you are mentioning about job requirements, which means when the project is given, there should be a clear expectation set between the employer and the employee. So the employer might say 2-3 years of experience of React is required for this position, but the engineers that he or she's the employer is hiring might have a extensive front end experience, but just don't have a lot of experience with Angular, right? That means if an employer still hires that person, there's something that the employer sees in the employee, right? I think it's important for the employee to set an realistic expectation when it comes to ramping up. So before even setting up, hey, we're gonna do this thing by this time, you need to assess your skill level and the requirement, and kind of like lay out the plans. Hey, I'm gonna need this much time to ramp up, and then I'll be able to deliver. Like that clear expectation needs to be set, because you don't want to overpromise, right?
Yeah.
Is that your question? Does it kind of answer your question?
It covers both actually,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of happened in my case too. Yeah.
I mean, I had a conversation with Soora too, but I think it's always good to under promise. Always good to under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
You never want to over promise. It's just painful for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Setting realistic expectation and be able to make those analysis and come up with numbers and be able to justify it. I think that's really important for software engineers.
Yep. And a friend of mine was saying too, because he was like, what are you doing? And it was like 7, 8 p.m. Even though I was supposed to clock out and stuff by then. But I was like, oh, I'm just wrapping up some stuff. He's like, if you keep kind of doing that, then they're going to expect you to be on, right? It's kind of that notion of like, if you keep delivering, then they're going to expect you to keep delivering, regardless of how much extra time you're going to be putting. If you put in 10 hours, then they're going to expect you to be putting 10 hours, even if you're really only supposed to be working for 8 for like hourly roles, stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's interesting to know. So I guess then within your role, right, for either of you, like how do you guys keep proactive? Like for me personally, I've been going on personal projects until sometimes from like 8 to 11 p.m. And then like watch TV show and then go to sleep. But being that, now for David, you probably want to explore places, right? Being new to a certain like a different state or surrounding for that matter. Like, how do you keep proactive in tech and then also balance that with like exploring and just relaxing? Then also at the same time not feeling like, oh shoot, I should have probably taken another role because I can't put in that extra time or something.
Do you want to answer, Sure?
Wait, so was the question like, how do we spend our free time?
Yeah, but at the same time, like especially being at a big corporation, right? I'm sure there's more expectation. Well, from the kind of questions that I've been asked on LinkedIn from random people, trying to get into Verizon Media and stuff like that. They're like, so basically for you guys, like how do you guys keep proactive to also then deliver being at such a big name company, but also balancing between that and free time?
Yeah, I think I'm still way too new to answer this question effectively since like I just started, but I have been like trying to learn Angular, like even during my free time. So that's how I've been utilizing my free time recently, at least, or after I started with Capital One.
So how I think the first real job that I had, I spent a lot of outside time trying to ramp up. Although the company says work-life balance is important, um, and when they hire me, they see the potential in me to grow, but it's just not realistic for you to ramp up and be able to deliver within like the 8 hours or 7 hours that's given every day. It's not almost impossible, especially for your first job. And so I think for my first job, I really had no work-life balance. I don't think I still don't have work-life balance because um, I don't know. It's just my style. I just tend to kind of focus on work a lot. So there's no fixed hours for me. I tend to kind of work even after hours sometimes, a lot of times, and yeah, that's something that I'm still kind of trying to figure out, I guess, work-life balance. But I don't necessarily I'm not necessarily stressed about working a lot more because I do it because I want to, and it's lingering in my mind. It's better if I just get it done. It's not like I guess like I feel passionate about the project that I'm working on and the quality that I want to bring to the company. So I'm not thinking in terms of I'm just gonna work 9 to 5 and get paid and then leave, but I actually care about. I started caring a lot more about the product, and I think that kind of changed my perspective because like it's my baby from that point on. It's mine. I have ownership of the product. So yeah,
Right, but like, do you think that could easily lead you into like being burnt out?
definitely, I think so.
How did you deal with that process then?
I think taking for me, what worked for me is I took a lot of breaks. So if you're burnt out, you feel burnt out, and you feel like in the middle of the day, your mind just goes blank because you thought like you were critically thinking for such a long time, you can't think anymore. I literally just zone out and just take a break. But then when I'm doing it, when I'm taking a break, I don't feel bad about it. I really embrace the break. So when I'm going back to work, I know that hey, I took a break, and I start kind of feeling I kind of reward myself in that way in little increments. And of course, like I don't just work all the time, but the times that I take breaks or during weekends when I have plans, I really embrace it. Yeah, I really soak it in. Yeah, or I try to. Yeah.
I mean, on seeing your Instagram stories of traveling, I
Yeah.
can definitely see that.
Last year
You
not as much, but yeah.
oh yeah, but I think didn't you guys go to Europe or something at some point? You and maybe a friend or two. You
Yeah.
guys were exploring the heck out of it.
2 years ago, we went to London, and yeah,
Yeah.
we just went around a little bit.
When David works, he works. When he plays, he plays. He's like very line driven, which is amazing. But yeah. Kind of then. Let's see. I have some more questions here. Oh, being that like I recently checked, or I guess not recently, but a while back I checked your LinkedIn. And you got promoted, right within Capital One, but then you left afterwards.
Mhm.
So I guess based off of that, um, what I guess did you do initially to get promoted, and were you kind of going for a promotion at the time?
So yeah, so this is a really good question. So I'm gonna speak in terms of big corp and how they do it when it comes to promotion. And I think I'm pretty sure it's the same around the big tech company that has a really good agile methodology and like all these things set up. I think so. I'm speaking in terms obviously for Capital One, but I assume it's applicable to a lot of other big companies. Is in order for you to get promoted, you need to have impact. You need to have created impact in the certain amount of time that's given. Usually, every like review, which is like end of year review or mid review. Those times you have to set a goal and you have to achieve it. And in doing so, you need to be impactful. It's also good to have your names out between different departments of such as, let's say, I was in marketing team for my first job. The second one, I was in a privacy tech job. But the privacy tech job requires you to work with other parts of the team, such as, I don't know, like Dev Exchange. I know Soora knows about Dev Exchange team, or that's like one big API team where all the Capital One API gets onboarded to, or other UI partners, API partners. And one of the ways you can make impacts is by helping them solve a problem, or by contributing to their code base, or just work with other partners a lot to get things done, and your name will be mentioned a lot when it comes to mid or end year review. Because what's happening when it comes to promotion, what's happening is everyone in your company and on the same level, they all get basically measured. And within each department, only a certain number of people can get promoted. Last time when I got promoted, it was only 2 people could have gotten promoted. Yeah. And then I took the promotion and left. So the director was...
Sorry to I
Yeah.
just have a question. So it was 2 people out of how many?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know. Oh,
Yeah.
but within department, just 2 people.
Yes. I believe it was... Yeah. Department is the correct word, I think, or branch, I forget. Yeah. But yeah. So that's how you have to create impact. And there are different ways to do it. You could be really savvy with technology. You could, it doesn't have to be something super complex, but if it's like when you're working on a story, you can work on a story that is as much time consuming, but it creates more impact. So that's for example, if you were to spend 2 days working on creating a header, you could spend 2 days in order for you to create a reusable header, right? Where you can, and that could be also sourced and be used throughout different teams, right? That's a different way of thinking. So creating reusable code, reusable API or UI piece of code, if you can see that and be able to solve and save a lot of people's time, that's creating impact, right? Yeah. So creating reusable code, or it doesn't even have to be tech related. It could be you're starting off like this ethnicity diverse events, that could be an impact as well. Although when it comes to getting promotion towards tech side of things, I don't know how impactful that could be, but it's an impact if you're especially looking to manage your role, or if you want to branch off to some other role. But that's another one. But yeah, so that's how you would get a promotion. I think that was your first question. And the second question was, why did I leave, right? Yeah. So there were a few things. One was my interest in tech, my career trajectory and what I wanted to learn and do at that time was not staying with Capital One. Second, I felt insecure about my promotion at Capital One. So let me talk about the second one first. When directors and managers get together, they talk about their employees and start comparing their employees on the same level. And when the decision for promotion is made, it's usually 3 to 4 months ahead of when the promotion is announced. They can't talk about it. They can't spill it. They can't hint to you. I didn't know how I was being measured compared to other software engineers at my level. So and Capital One is very competitive. There are a lot of smart people, a lot of people that work hard but very efficiently. And me being music major, I felt like I couldn't, possibly stand up to people. Some from Harvard, MIT, Cornell, like, how do I compete against them? They went through like whole 4 years, 6 years, right? So then when I was thinking about that, as well as I guess the amount of feedbacks that I was getting from the manager. Now this is from the managerial side that they said, oh, could have done better, is communicating with me to where the place I am when it comes to promotion. They should have clearly communicated with me throughout the year, but they didn't. So they had decided that they were going to promote me months before I had decided that I was going to move on. But at that time, I just didn't like the culture of having to be competitive within the corp, where you are expected to work together in a very like friendly, teamwork manner, but at the same time you're being competitive. It was kind of getting in my head, because I am working with this engineer that are same level as me, but in order for me to make more impact, I would maybe be more greedy about certain parts of the work. There was one work where I helped this like different team a lot in order to set up application. I set up almost everything, but they ended up presenting everything because it was their team's project, and I was like being loaned out from my team to help them. But I set up almost everything, but I didn't really get to say much. They presented everything and they put my name like a little bit at the end. So that was kind of unfair. I mean, I'm sure now that I think about it, that had a lot of what do you call those? Impact when it comes to my promotion. I'm sure it did. But that kind of makes me feel a little bitter inside. I did all the work, but they're taking all the credits, right? That kind of stuff can happen. So I didn't like that. I wanted to pursue innovation, creativity, and like actually caring about the product. But now, leading up to the first point, the main reason I moved to this company is because I get to lead a project. That's why my role changed from engineer, senior software engineer associate to technical program manager. I didn't even know that role existed. But my CEO, when I first started doing the job, my CEO saw how I was working and decided to give me this title. And I looked at the job description for technical program manager, and it is exactly what I was doing, which is to communicate between developers, project management, CEO, plan things out, and provide technical solutions. Whether it be by creating system architect or training juniors, or me myself coding. And so far it's been good. This is exactly what I wanted. Although Capital One was going to pay me a lot more, but I still wanted to stay here because it's something that I wanted to pursue, and things that I was, I guess, it was being kind of repetitive, and I know I could have learned a lot more using Capital One's resource, but at the time it wasn't worth for me. I wanted something different. Yeah, I wanted to get my hands on everything. That's why I left.
Down and dirty. Dang. All right. So kind of then, because basically what it sounds like is you're a manager, right? Like engineering manager, what have you, right? Because that, right? Is that a simplified version of?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I mean, when you're working at a startup, you just have to do everything.
Yeah, you just do what you gotta do. Let's see. Then I guess because then that for me is almost all that I have for David. Sir, do you have any questions? I feel like you had a couple.
Yeah, no, like going off of what you shared, David, just now. So I think that kind of shows like cons of working for like a big corporate, right? Because I'm sure it's not just Capital One, but I'm sure bigger companies are a lot more competitive. So what would be, like, briefly, what would be like the pros and cons of working at a big corporate versus like pros and cons of working for like a startup?
Yeah, so there are a lot of pros, which is your resume gets boosted. You get to see how corporates structure and work. So you can apply that anywhere if it's a good company with good structure. There's a reason they grew so big, right? You could see that, you can apply it anywhere you learn. If you learn the best practices, you have so much resource when it comes to the people. You can reach out to so many people for free. They're very friendly, and they go the extra mile to try to teach you because they themselves want to create impact, right? Their name can be mentioned when it comes to promotion. So not only that, but they just want to. There are a lot of passionate people that want to get to the best solution, so they don't go easy on that. There's that. So those are all the pros of, obviously, salary, your job's secure, and all the good benefits. Free snacks and coffees. Obviously, if you go to
Right.
the office, that's good. And you see this awesome offices, everything's provided. Uh, there's that. Cons would be the ones that I mentioned. It can be competitive. It can be cutthroat depending on the team that you're on. It can seem like um, almost too cutthroat, I guess. Very procedural, very logical. But even in that part, I think it was still a pro for me because what if one individual, something that I've learned from a good team is if one developer, I guess, for example, couldn't meet the deadline or couldn't finish the story in certain time limit, then it's not necessarily a fault of the developer. If the developer had done their best to try to complete the story, it's the fault of a team to not being able to fairly assess the story itself. So the team takes the ownership when it comes to something going wrong. Yeah, we that's something that I really like. We never blame one person, but it's the managers or the person that's shaping the project is they weren't able to analyze it correctly, analyze the skill set of the employees, and be able to plan out the stories. I mean, the objective clearly. So it's a team's fault. So I really like that, actually. And so you can put emotions kind of to the side and focus on work, and start working on a solution to the problems rather than focusing on blaming or talking about the after effects of the problem. You just keep working on a solution. So I would say cons would be that, but there are a lot more pros, honestly, than cons. Yeah, it can be stressful.
Yeah.
Very stressful, but it's worth it.
Yes. So speaking of company culture, have you guys heard of Amazon? Like what people are saying about Amazon's culture?
Yes.
Like the hire to fire. Like
Mhm.
I was kind of introduced because I was actually reached out to Amazon quite a few times. Sometimes even from the same recruiter after mentioning that, like, hey, I just started a new role. And then I was talking to my sister, and she's like, "Oh, you know about Amazon's culture?" I'm like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, they're basically a hire to fire." And because apparently and I was reading this actually because it showed up on, I think, front page, or basically when I open a Firefox or something, or even on LinkedIn. No, yeah, it was on LinkedIn. It was an article that just randomly popped up, or someone shared it. And then basically, apparently, Amazon needs to, or what people are saying, and then Amazon obviously is going to deny it. Some managers are speaking up that they're pressured, because of upper management and stuff like that. But for them, it's they need to have a certain number of cuts per year. Like they need to fire a certain number of people per year. So apparently, what I was reading is, oh, by the way, David On's coming on. He just woke up apparently. But yeah, apparently they need a higher certain number in order to fire them, and then but in doing so, we'll keep people motivated, right? Like the more tenured. I guess engineers. So that honestly kind of makes me question, to be honest, some of the big companies. So that being said, like, did you have some sort of hunch that something like that, or not even that specifically, but some that there might be some sort of like bro culture or something along those lines, like within say Capital One or even in well, I can speak to uh, Verizon Media, but yeah, for Capital One, I guess, or even
Well,
going from, or even David, for you joining Capital One in the beginning, and then I'm sure Sura had some opportunity to maybe talk to you at some point about it or whatnot. So yeah,
so in that terms, I think Capital One is really good. I know Amazon is infamous when it comes to work culture, although it really heavily depends on the team that you're in. I've heard really good stories too from my other colleagues that are working in Amazon. So maybe a lot more teams are, like proportionally wise, maybe a bit hard to work with, or maybe those working in specific teams, they themselves just have had a hard time and their voices are heard repetitively. I don't exactly know what the occasion is, but when it comes to Capital One, we don't do that. We are very professional. Even during COVID time, when branches were being closed down, and in other companies, people were being laid off. Our CEO created he does like a conference time to time and talk to everyone directly, not just through letters. He said he's not going to let go of anyone in the company, and that's what he did, not just for engineers, but everyone. So anyone that's working in Capital One, they were getting paid, they were being kept. No one was being fired. It's because the management, everyone really likes CEO. From what I've seen, and all the employees really like the CEO, respect him a lot, because he really respects his employees. It's not like that in Capital One specifically. Yeah. Bro culture, I haven't seen any. Very professional.
like I heard even for like Riot Games, like there's some alleged like bro culture, inner circle, things like that. But at the same time, like once that's because I don't know about Amazon, because I'm sure people might have brought it up to upper management, but they probably declined stuff like that. But then apparently for other big companies, like they're they're more than not it's not really more than happy to, but it's like, oh, we don't want that, right? So if say management or something like that has some sort of bro culture or some inner emailing list or what have you, and then someone brings it up to like executive on that level, then they do something about it. So that's good to know for Capital One, and even for my end for Verizon Media. Honestly, I didn't do due diligence, but being with the company for almost I almost said 3 years, but well, that's the plan, guys. By the way, please convert me. But in terms of um, the 3 months I've been here, I'm like I feel like I'm the one that kind of, or not necessarily, but in terms of the culture wise, I haven't seen anything bad. It's like super collaborative. The big thing is going back to reusable components, like things fall apart and then applications are kind of relying on it. But in terms of culture like that, it's super collaborative. So I've gotten people to hit me up, or I not that I've gotten them, but they just randomly hit me up and ask me about culture and things like that. So yeah, so I feel like a lot of this talk about big company culture sucks. It really depends, right? Amazon, I'm honestly confused. Like being that people use their stuff all the time, what it looks like from the outside can be completely different than what it actually is. Um, but yeah, welcome, David. By the way, David on.
Oh,
It's a
hey
pleasure.
guys.
Uh, so kind of just mentioning what we're talking about is just company culture, as you could tell. But David, do you have anything you want to ask David Chung? I know you guys have probably not seen each other for a while, potentially.
Yeah, I don't know if this was asked already, but
Feel free.
like, or maybe you and Sir talked about it. Was there any difference in the way your application process went through when between like when David went through Capital One and Sir went through Capital One? Like, are like basically, am I saying like are the interviews mostly like pretty much the same, or was there any difference? Because I know both of you applied for like full stack, right?
Well, Soora went like this.
Yeah, I know. Like, wait a minute.
I was more focused on like the front end portion, like the
Oh,
front
it was okay.
end.
Oh, I see.
So I was applying. I was being applied to a full stack role, but I ended up focusing more on the front end. But Capital One wants to develop all of their engineers to be full stack.
Right, I did notice that.
Yeah, you need to get AWS. You need to be AWS certified within a year.
Mm.
I think they give you like $100 or something if you do that, or $50, and they pay for all the materials and the tests. There's that, and they want you to be really versatile in setting up infrastructure, being able to do UI code, but especially be able to do API, handle API, and really quality code with tests, unit tests, integration tests, end-to-end tests, regression tests, everything. Yeah.
Would you say you should get the certification beforehand, or should you get like certifications in general, I guess? Should you recommend getting it beforehand, or just like get the certification as the company asks for it, like as you need it kind of thing?
I think it's a big boon if you have a AWS certification. It's a big boon when you're interviewing. Yeah, it's a big one.
So there's
Mhm.
multiple AWS certifications, right? There's like solutions architect, and then
Yes.
there's like associate level and professional level and all that. So which one did you get?
The solutions architect is the one that they want you to get. Yeah.
Okay.
There is a developer one, but I think solutions architect, if I remember last time, solutions architect is the one they want. It's similar, but I heard solutions architect is supposedly a bit harder. Yeah.
I see. That's cool. Did they already mention that to you, sir? Or not yet?
Getting
Getting the AWS cert?
No, they haven't, but it's because I'm still new and I just got placed on like one of the tasks like a couple days ago. So, but then I did notice that like they do require me to know a lot of have a lot of AWS knowledge, and also like after that conversation, I got like placed into like sessions and like meetings that's more about like, oh, learn more about like let's learn about AWS. So yeah, I could definitely to go back. Yeah, I could definitely see that like they want you to learn front end and back end and make you kind of like into like a software engineer. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So your positions call for Angular, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Was that the same for you too, David? Or
my first year, I was placed in a refactoring a Vue project into Angular. To React for my first team, and then the second team, I was focused more on the Angular.
what was the transition like going from? I guess this question is for both of you, to go from like React to Angular. Because I hear all these different stories, but I never hear like the personal stories.
When I first learned React and Angular, I actually liked Angular more. The first, but then like I got really used to doing the way React do things. I would say they're both good in its own ways. I just don't like having to be verbose about getting the same thing done in React, getting all these different little dependencies and libraries to get things done. In Angular, everything is already pretty much provided. Like state management, when Redux, like you don't need that entity in Angular at all, because there's this third entity that called a service that takes care of all the states, and you can plug it in any components you want. You don't need to set up all that Redux, stuff. Like it's just easy with Angular. Yeah. But yeah, I'm more Angular now.
Wow. How
Wait,
about you,
real
sir?
quick.
Did you? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, David. Then are you like, if you're more Angular now, then is that the case with the company you're with right now? Or
So this company
how
is
does it work?
interesting because I can choose any tech stack I want because I'm the technical program manager. But in order for me to get things done fast, I need to do tech stack that I'm familiar with. And at the time, I was strong with Angular, so I built everything with Angular.
It's like, hey guys, we're doing Backbone JS. Oh dear.
No,
But
Uh,
but you're the manager, so you're working on a team. So who's doing most of the heavy lifting though?
me.
Isn't it? Oh, it's just you? Like, so are you like solely coding everything or what?
We have a junior developer and a contractor that's working on the API side of things.
Mm,
And I talk with the program manager to shape the project and deliver it to the CEO, and kind of demo it to him. But then we do have a second developer team that's working on a separate project that's more government side. Um,
mm,
and sometimes we have this big chat where we can ask each other for help if we want to.
that's cool.
Still highly collaborative. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We don't know where Soora went. She still has that lingering question, but maybe it can be answered later. But then I guess for all of you, well, I guess this will be more catered to everyone once Sir comes back. Um, yeah, I guess what do we do? Like just tweet our thumbs.
Hmm?
I guess to start, we can just start off. Because this is then kind of reaching the final stretch. I'm sure I didn't eat lunch. I don't know about you. I mean, David on looks like he just crawled out of bed real quick. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, David's been working on some of his own stuff. I've been kind of keeping up with him as well. But then kind of wrapping up since we're way over time by now. And your boys got to run out pretty soon and do his own stuff. But then for all of you guys, do you recommend? Because I've been hit up by people coming out of college. There's one that was asking about Verizon Media. Even Brian Yee. I don't know if you guys met him. But he's from UCI as well. Also came out to a few services with church. But they're asking me about Verizon Media. So and they don't really. I guess this would probably be their first job. So for you guys, um, if you guys kind of had to give some advice for people coming out of college or kind of getting their first job in terms of development or even just self learning, like would you recommend them to look at smaller companies or just shoot your shot and see if you can get into big ones and take the big one, you know?
For
'Cause I'm sure that's yeah, huh?
someone that's starting off,
Yeah, starting off, or even if they're like kind of like, do I want to go for a big company and they've only really preferred small ones? Like, would you have any recommendations or tips on how to kind of answer that question or help them kind of figure out
I think
what they want to do?
shooting for a big company is better
Hmm.
because you're with all the pros that I mentioned. The one thing is they have resources, and if things don't get covered by, let's say, certain individuals mishap, then it can be covered by other person through resource. So you might get a, I don't know, if you're the one that's making a mistake, you might have a you might get like a bad note, but it wouldn't endanger the company, right? Because they have all the resources to cover anyone's mistake. So I think Sura needs to go.
Oh, it's all
So
good.
I think
Yeah, she needs to hop off.
shooting for big companies better. You get to see a
Yeah.
lot of what the best practices are, but I say just go for anything. If you can get a job anywhere, just go get it for someone starting off. Yeah, but starting off with a big company, I think, is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a huge boost, especially to like both your career and your resume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement there too. Like, get whatever you can because your next job isn't going to be your last job.
Yeah.
Especially in this industry, you're going to be jumping around. not just because of better pay or anything like that. Or sometimes it could be like that. I guess most of the time it's like that, huh? but uh, but a lot of the times too, from what I hear, is that sometimes you just get bored with the tech stack you're working with. So like, or the way things are done at a certain company, it just gets too tedious, and you're not really uh, being challenged in a way. So definitely weigh your options. Try to get multiple offers is what I tell like fresh grads or anything like that. So try to get multiple offers and leverage like research each company and pick the one you think is going to be a better fit for you in your current situation. Because for me, I just needed money, so I just went with the highest paying salary. But it was kind of like tedious work, so I was ready to move on really quick.
I mean, I mean, even then, sometimes uh, y- if I mean, because there are some people who need uh the money, even if say like the company might not be, or that specific industry might not be what they want, right? So it could be financial or whatnot, financial reasons, personal reasons, who knows. Um, for me, it depends. I'd say it really depends. Like big companies are good, but if say you want to go into the entertainment side, right? um and they're paying you maybe 20-30K less, like say you're still above market, for let's say you're going for a junior engineer role or mid-level, and then they're like, okay, well, starting salary is going to be 90 to 110, right? um Versus say, and this is for an industry you want, say entertainment or what have you, doesn't matter what it is, versus an industry where you kind of don't want to be in it, say um well, I'm not going to put names out there because it might reflect bad on me. But say versus an industry where you just don't want to be in it whatsoever, but they're going to pay you say 50, 60K more. It really depends for that matter, right? It's like, do you go for the money um, and feel a little bit more miserable, or miserable at all, versus you enjoy the space that you're in for a little bit less, but then you want to wake up in the morning. You know what I mean? So I'd say it really depends there, but also, um, if in the case of if that's gonna be your first job, uh, yeah, definitely leveraging, but you just gotta take what you can. If you can't just wait for a miracle to happen, because even though that's gonna like might happen, your best bet is sometimes the first job gets you to where you want to be, right? In my case, I started off doing quality assurance. I was like, not sure if that's really what I want to do, because I've always wanted to do the coding side of things. So I used that as a stepping stone, provided it was pretty tough, not gonna lie, where you're labeled as QA engineers. People are like, oh, you only do manual testing, we can't take you. But at some point, I was given opportunity to move from quality assurance to e-commerce front end, which I felt though was good. Didn't really have too much of a way up in terms of kind of getting out of just static, CSS HTML. But who knows? Maybe that's just the first month that I was there, right? But then after that, then things really start taking off. So it really depends, I guess, on you know as of your your situation, and what you prioritize as well. But yeah, and then I guess for you guys, then a lot of this question that a lot of, I guess, people do ask me this sometimes, even my close relatives and stuff. Do you see yourself coding until retirement? I mean, if you can't answer the question just because it's going to reflect bad on you, by all means, you don't have to. It's just more of like, I mean, I could even clip this out. Who knows? But yeah, do you guys see yourself coding until retirement? A lot of people are like, this is one of those where, esports is like up until say 27, and then you're done because all these new like younger guys are better. And then for engineering, people are saying like you're basically too old once you're like 40, in your 40s. So I guess for you guys, do you see yourself kind of coding until retirement, or maybe switching to something else?
I definitely don't.
Mm.
I'll probably code like professionally for probably, I don't know, until I get let go or move somewhere else, you know. I don't think I would be coding professionally that long, just because, yeah, it's not necessarily grunt work, but it gets pretty, I don't know, like not challenging to keep going with. It's not tedious either. I don't know what the word is, but basically there comes a certain point in time in someone's career where like you've been in the game long enough that now you're kind of more suited for a managerial role. So I kind of see myself being more like oversight eventually. But ideally though, I do want to like start my own business. So hopefully the money I may save up from this career will help me start that soon. Yeah. But
Awesome.
yeah, definitely not until retirement. I don't even know anyone that still codes until retirement. Yeah.
The CEO of Google codes.
Oh, he still does?
He holds conferences and he himself is showing the codes to the conference.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So I think in terms of me sticking with the coding, I think I will. I will keep learning new things, but I think I'm in a similar boat as David. I think at certain point I want to, rather than specializing in one tech sector, I do want to be more managerial role. But I don't want to be too separate from the realm of coding either, because I have to, in order for me to manage people, I need to understand technologies. Even in Capital Ones, when you like this one time we're working on a streaming pipeline of massive amount of data, and we're feeding it to the machine learning algorithm. And in order for manager to understand that, although she wasn't coding, she had to do a lot of studying by herself so that she can understand the scope and the amount of effort that goes in. So I think in that sense, even if I become a manager, I won't stop coding, but not necessarily will be coding at the same time. But I truly do enjoy coding and doing code reviews, learning new technologies, be able to create things with my hand and see results, and kind of user be able to, creating differences, right? I think I really do find joy in that. But also, like David, I do want to start my own company. One of the reasons why I went to corp and to the startup is because I want to learn different managerial style. I wanted to know what it takes for a person to have an idea and be able to do all the research, organize and execute and launch. I wanted to be there when that happened. And yes, that's one of the other big reasons why I left the big company, because I wanted to be involved with everything and learn everything. Yeah, but eventually I want to start my own company.
Awesome. Well, I'd say I'm kind of there too. Not as like starting your own. I mean, I do want to start a side business, but maybe not necessarily in the same. I like idea wise as maybe you guys. Mine's kind of more on the recreation side. But I'm kind of similar in that I don't necessarily might not see myself coding for the entire time. Maybe I'm kind of curious about product management, to be honest, and potentially design. Design's one of the weaker sides that I want to see how that works. But probably more of project management or product. Sorry, because there's a slight differentiation in my opinion, and kind of from what I've seen. Even product engineering, though I still do want to be coding, even if it's on my own personal projects. Like, that's super fun for me. So it just really depends. Who knows? Like the whole thing about, maybe finding something else afterwards. It's by that point, it's like, how do you find what you want to do if you're just gonna leave coding? You know what I mean? Like, is it another instance where you need to find, a boot, not necessarily a boot camp, but like find, books on, that sort of thing, whether or not it's, you want to be a pro sports player or what have you. how late is too late? That's always the question, right? So even say I still have, or I had an option where I was considering still, and maybe even now, to become a police officer. But how late is too late? You know what I mean? So it really depends. And what happens if you start that and you don't like it, then do you just go back to coding? So that's a lot of the questions I've been asked as well. So um, let's see. Oh, I think that was the last one. So yeah, thanks for joining. Do you guys have any final shout outs, final words, final tips for all these even older, more seasoned engineers, or even the new ones? Or just shout outs?
I got something.
Oh,
Since I'm in the process of finding my new gig right now. It's been I don't know, like 2-3 months since I've last touched any code. And I'm just getting back into like practicing my algorithms and practice problems and interviewing. And all I gotta say is, man, when you're coming out of a slump or you're trying to like get into something, you really gotta find a routine. Because I'm like on and off with my interview practices. So for those of you prepping for anything really, just make sure you got a good routine going. Like if you're gonna start studying in the morning, make sure you wake up on time, or if you're gonna study late at night, make sure you're consistently doing that and not hopping on Netflix or like games or something, you know. It kind of gets distracting, but yeah, like really got to laser focus. The market's opening up right now. It looks like I got to take advantage of all these available jobs. So yeah, and this kind of ties back into the whole like finding your job. Like it sounds kind of bad, but you really do have to just, the more applications you send out, the more chance you get of getting an interview. So like apply to what you can and focus on what you can. Don't be distracted. You got this. Yeah. David?
Yeah. Are there a lot of people around you that's looking for a job, David?
They're not really like unemployed like I am. They're more trying to find their new gig because they're already working right now.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of them were telling me like, yo, you need to get back into applying because a lot more companies opened up. Excuse me. A lot more companies opened up. Like there's like more job postings lately. So I was like, okay, this week I'm gonna start doing it. And then throughout the week I was just like, wow, I thought I would. So I was trying to like have my green squares on GitHub, like all green for the week. I couldn't do it. Yeah, because I'm just like picking up like little projects that I left off on from before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to do like 1 or 2 practice problems a day.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I worked with PHP for so long, I kind of forgot some JavaScript, so I'm trying to jump back into JavaScript. So right now I'm learning Node and learning React finally. Or I mean, I learned a little bit of React, but I forgot all of it, so it's time to pick it back up again. But yeah, I'm trying to stay within JavaScript right now because PHP was kind of, it was alright. Yeah.
Yeah. I see. Yeah, last word, I would say, I mean, I'm still relatively really young when it comes to software engineering career. So everything that I said up until this point is very subjective. I want to say everyone is entitled to their own opinion and experiences. If you can find, the things that I said somewhat helpful, informative, or relatable, then that's great. But you can disagree. I don't mind. And if I can be of help to anyone, like if I can get more insights or information that you were curious about some of the things that I talked about. If you have other questions, you can reach out to Leonard and get my contact, and I'm more than willing to help out and talk more. But yeah, I think software engineering is really awesome. It's an awesome job. Really opened my mind, changed my life. and in a lot of ways, yeah, a lot of good ways. And I don't take it for granted. I'm very grateful and thankful for being able to work and have an active mind, be challenged, and have fun at the same time. Yeah, it's really awesome career.
Awesome. Well, instead of reaching out to me, if do you guys have any links that people can visit to check out our profile? LinkedIn, Instagram,
Nope, I don't do those.
TikTok. Even though what the heck, TikTok. The only thing that TikToks in my room is a clock. But you know what I'm saying. But hey, man, it's Saturday. I gotta pop some jokes. Oh, no links. Wow, so secretive. Wow, David.
Just you could post links to our GitHub in the video description, I guess.
Oh, nice. Will
Yeah.
do. Wait, I did have one more thing. I just forgot. I can't think of it. Well, if I do remember, I'll reach out to whoever. For either of you, if it pertains. But yeah, thanks for joining. You guys look hungry or tired, or David just looks pissed off. He couldn't do his thing, David Chung.
No,
Because David actually had to go do some, but for a couple minutes. But yeah, kept him here. Thanks, guys, for joining again. Huge shout out to both of you, and
Yeah, it's
especially
good seeing
David
you
on for
guys.
jumping in at the last second. So yeah,
yeah.
have a good weekend.
You too,
Alright.
guys.
Take care,
Nice seeing you.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.